Morning, everybody. We got ourselves a Cat 908M here. So this little critter has pounded her bushings right out. But then, as you can see, it has spent a lot of time scraping on some pavement somewhere. And I didn't know about that before it came. I told these guys that I do not believe I would fix them holes until we put some material back on there. I'm worried about this being thin enough that it hammers out and stretches through there later. So I'm about ready to lay a bunch of weld on, and then we'll go to fixing the bores in it. All right, so we're making progress. I have spent, I don't know, 45 minutes or so building up the bottom of these. I did not spend a lot of time making it look beautiful. It was kind of an awkward overhead weld, so they're a little lumpy bumpy, no doubt about it, but instead of 3/8 of an inch of material, I'm back to the inch or better. I actually over welded it in a couple of spots that it started with, so that'll be good. And then I have tack welded this hunk of angle iron between the arms because long experience has taught me that those arms are pretty much a perfect tuning fork, and that if you try cutting on this thing without tacking them together, it'll chatter and hum and wreck tools like you wouldn't believe. So anyways, just get ready to set up the alignment cones and get this boring bar in place. Just coming through this side, I finishing up my overbore, getting ready for welding. There she is. Nice ladder there. All right, well, that's the end of the welding. This one is getting down to almost touchable coolness. And this one here, we just got finished. You can see she is literally smoking hot yet. But I'm going to get set up now with the boring rig, and we're going to go after these critters. All right, so we are on the finished pass here, just skimming tooth thou on a side out. Once I get done with that pass, that arm is done, and then I just got to come over and cut this one. Do some cleanup with the grinder on the faces, and get this whole girl with some bushings shoved in her and get out of here. All right, everybody. It turned into a bit of a struggle, and I was so focused on what I was doing, I forgot to do any videoing, so I have to give you the rundown. So this thing uses those dadgum bronze bushings, which I really hate. I think they're a terrible idea on a piece of heavy equipment. But anyways, the factory was putting what I consider to be a very light press of about 3 thousandths on a 3-incher. The rule of thumb of thou per inch on bushings is, first off, on the light side on a steel bushing and isn't nearly enough on a bronze one. It's no wonder they came loose. So anyways, I cranked them up and ran 2.5 thou per inch, which is a heck of a squeeze, but as long as you got a good, the bore's nice and polished, and you run around the edge of the bore with a flap wheel, they'll squeeze down without shaving, and I anti-seize. But anyway, so they went in fine. The problem is the clearance on the pins then was planning on wimpy little press fit. So I had to go in there and hone the bushings out afterwards, which was just pain in the butt. But anyways, I got those all fitting, and then they wanted me to put it back together. They had dismantled it, and they had told me they'd had a lot of trouble getting this pin out. Well, turned out in the process of beating and pounding, they had bent that ear royally. Like, you stuck the pin through here, it crashed there. If you stuck the pin in from that side coming over towards the outside, it was out of alignment with this outside hole by like 1/4 of an inch. So I just had to spend an hour with my Porta Power in there, carefully tweaking it until I got it to where the pin, I didn't get it where it would slide back through all the way, but I could get it about half of the way in by hand. And I had actually overbent it a little bit, so that worked out because then I was able to just drive it on in there with my dead blow. And because it was overbent a bit, hitting it was making it spring out in the direction that it needed to go. And just a 2-pound dead blow was enough to drive it in there. So that's good. In use, just the pounding, hammering, it'll stress relieve and relax back to the position it's supposed to be in. So anyways, this one is wrapped up. They've got 2 things they got to do. It had bad grease fittings, and they gave me a couple to put in it. One of them they gave me didn't fit. So they got to put a grease fitting there. And then somewhere in the process of tearing it apart, they lost the C-clip that's supposed to go on that pin for the bottom of the cylinder. So I told them they got to find one of those. But otherwise, it's back together and ready for those guys to get some work done with again. So anyhow, that's a wrap. Altogether, this job is about 9 hours worth of welding, boring, straightening ears, honing out bushings, all of that jazz. So not terrible. I'd like to believe I'm capable of doing them faster, but there's just too many weird little extras. So basically, if I hadn't had to do the extra screwing on, oh, and that included welding up the bottom of the arm. So basically, the actual welding and boring was about 7 hours worth of work. The rest of it was all extra stuff that I had to do for them. So anyways, that's a wrap. We'll catch you guys next time.